Walk down the hallway past all the old family pictures into the kitchen. Let's sit at Granny Marble's kitchen table. Hop Sing's going to feed us lunch here in just a little bit. And I've got you a big old heaping helping of agricultural information. And we'll start with a little appetizer of ag weather. And we're going to walk the state from Abilene down to Corpus Christi, giving you examples of several different places. Abilene started out this morning at 28. They'll go to 54 and a low tomorrow morning of 27. Junction started out at 23. They'll hit 59 and come back to 23 tomorrow morning. Giddings, you're going to be around 31 when you started this morning. You'll be 59, almost 60 this afternoon, and then 23 again tomorrow morning. Three Rivers, 32, thereabouts is where you started. 63 is where you'll go for a high today, and back to a 32 low tomorrow morning. And Corpus Christi, 43 is where you started out. 60 is where you're going to go today. And 43 is where you'll come back tomorrow morning. Neighbor, there's ag weather across down on the farm country from one end to the other. Neighbor, let's discuss the direction of corn, beans, wheat, cotton, live cattle, and lean hogs. At last look, March corn was up about 4.5 cents by the bushel. January soybeans was up about 10.5. March KC wheat was up a quarter. March Chicago wheat up 2 1/4. The Dow Industrial Average was up 7.61 points. January crude was up about 4 cents by the barrel. The U.S. dollar was down 0.200, and the February gold contract was up $4.90. Soybean and soybean meal continue to lead the way higher as U.S. exports stand to gain from Argentine oilseed workers' continued strike. Weather in South America, while short-term neutral to bearish, threatens to turn hot once again. As we look at February live cattle, that was down at last count about 23 at 112.65. January feeder cattle were down about 80 at 139.30. February lean hogs were down about 95 at 65.55. Neighbor, the livestock contract scale is lower early today. The cash cattle market still quiet thus far, but as the day moves along, more trade is expected to develop. Neighbor, I'm going to talk to a few of our livestock auction barn operators, and I'll look for grains and cotton. In the meantime, y'all visit with Kerry Martin from the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network on today's edition of Focus on Ag.
The wheat industry ends the year on a positive note. I'm Kerry Martin with Focus on Agriculture on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
You're looking for soybeans that give you the yield you want. But when it comes to fighting your toughest weeds, you also need flexibility. Introducing Extend Flex soybeans. Elite genetics with triple tolerance to dicamba, glyphosate, and glufosinate. The yield you want, the choice you need. Learn more at extendflexsoy.com. Always read and follow IRM where applicable, grain marketing, and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to find an insurance agent who's a true neighbor. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Wheat prices have taken a nice jump here at the end of the year, despite the big market swings we've seen over the last couple of weeks. The wheat industry suffered along with everyone else in production agriculture this year because of COVID-19. Michigan wheat grower David Milligan is president of the National Association of Wheat Growers. He says getting wheat qualified for payments under the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program was one of the biggest accomplishments of the year.
There was quite an effort put together to provide some information to the USDA about the problems and the needs that we have in wheat country. And we were helped by our staff in Washington, D.C. and our friends at U.S. Wheat and several state organizations and a couple of letters that went to the Secretary of Agriculture from both the House side and the Senate side. And in September, when the second round of COVID came out, we got all classes of wheat covered, and that was a big help to our growers. And
Milligan says the recent increase in wheat exports has given a big boost to the wheat industry here at the end of a very rough year.
it's maybe a little too early to say, but it looks like maybe we've turned the corner. Maybe we've kind of see the bottom of this thing, and maybe we're headed in the right direction, both supply wise and price wise, and so hopefully better times are ahead, right?
Milligan adds that recent trade agreements like the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement and the Phase 1 trade deal with China have opened markets for U.S. wheat, and farmers are now seeing the benefits of those agreements in the form of higher wheat prices. Again, that's David Milligan, president of the National Association of Wheat Growers. I'm Kerry Martin on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, I believe Hop Sing is about to ring that lunch bell. Yes, he is. Plenty of chicken fried steak, jalapeno gravy, Nanny's yeast rolls, and a cold cucumber salad, and I'm about to pour the iced tea and coffee, whichever you choose. I'd just choose to listen to Benny Cox from Producers in Cargyle, San Angelo. They had their sheep and goat sale yesterday. They'll have cattle tomorrow. Benny, let's start with sheep and goats. What'd you draw?
We ended up selling around 6,300 yesterday, and we've got 2,500 that left this morning. We may catch a few, so we're going to sell right at 9,000, and it worked the market over somewhat, which is not unexpected. A lot of times people ask me when's the best time to sell, and a lot of times I'll tell them it was three weeks ago. It ended up being 2 weeks ago and 1 week ago were the best. Markets, were awful good. They worked it over yesterday because of the numbers, and we're able to do that. We had a lot of interest, and the buying power was there. We had a number of out-of-state shipments, which helped add to that number. There was a couple of thousand in about three groups that came from Colorado and New Mexico, compared to what we'd been seeing, these wool feeder lambs. And we had a pretty good jag of them yesterday, and some really good ones. They were $20 to $30 lower than were, last week. Slaughter hair lambs, kind of the same, $20 to $30 lower. And I'd say most of the decline was on those heavier weights. When you get down to those 55 to 60 pounders, they might have been closer to the 10 to 20, lower. But some of those old things went up there in that 80-pound range. I've seen some of those probably $40 lower. Slaughter ewes, they fell off some. They were 5 to 15 lower. Kid goats, 20 to 30 lower. The slaughter nannies, they were much the same, 130 to 208, but mostly 160 to 180. Mature billies, not quite as high as they were the week before, 180 to 225. Most of them would bring, $2 or better. On the wool feeder lambs yesterday, it sold in a range from $2 to $2.66, which is still a wonderful market. The lightweight hair sheep type lambs going to slaughter, $230 to $348. Heavier weights from $180 to $290. The slaughter ewes, they sell from $80 to $118. Kid goats, $240 to $356, but mostly $3 to $332. With some of these feeder goats, which we've been seeing, come through for the last month or two, those sure enough lightweights, good healthy kind, up to as high as $405.
How about the cattle sale?
We're starting off with about 200 on the yards, one consignment of 85. Jody feels like we're going to be a good deal shy of what we've been seeing. We'll just have to see what West Texas does to us. Larry, I'd like to say this. This, of course, is our last week of sales for this year. Our last sale will be Thursday, and the first sale of 2021 will be January the 5th. That's a Tuesday, so we're going to be closed 2 full weeks for sheep sales and cattle sales.
Okay.
They can me on my mobile, which is 325-234-4277. They can also call the office, which is same area code, 653-3371, or they can always look at the web.
All right. We'll talk to Jody before and after the sale, and then we'll rattle your cage next week just so you remember what her voice sounds like.
Okie dokie.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Rumensin presents Trusted by Generations. Headquartered in Amarillo, Texas, Cactus Feeders has been producing high-quality protein at their feed yards in Texas and Kansas for over 40 years. They work hard each day to make sure the beef they produce is safe and nutritious. Director of Nutrition Kendall Carr and General Manager of Wrangler Feed Yard Randy Shields have been working together at Cactus Feeders for 20 years. We asked them what they view as the most vital ingredient in their success. For Kendall, trust comes before anything else, and that includes doing business with a handshake. Beyond trust in their partners, Kendall knows it's important for consumers to trust the beef they consume. Randy believes it all comes back to the handshake deal, that when you make a commitment, you follow through with that commitment. Both Kendall and Randy are proud to carry on the legacy of helping people learn and grow in the beef cattle business. Rumensin has been trusted by generations of cattle producers to help build their legacy. What will your legacy be? Explore more legacy stories at trustedbygenerations.com.
Neighbor, looks like the Cowboys are finished with their noon meal. Let's send them over to Brenham to help Doug Bass get ready for the sale this Friday and then the special they're having toward month's end. Doug, let's talk about them both. Last week's sale first.
We had a good sale, Mr. Larry. It was a little slower than week 4. We had some pretty good rain Friday, which slowed us down a little bit, but we was glad to have it. We ended up with 1,311 head of cattle. Your weighing cows, your thinner, lower yielding cows bring 15 to 39. Better, higher yielding cows bring 40 to 52. Your lower yielding bulls bring 50 to 65. Your better bulls bring 70 to 78. Pair of cattle, we had few pairs. They bring from 600 to 1,100. Bred cows bring anywhere from 450 to 1,000. Calf market, I thought everything looked pretty steady, you know. Your roping calves, steers bring 155 to 165 on the steers. Heifers bring 135 to 170. 2 to 3 weight steer bring 138 to 185. Heifers bring 125 to 142. 3 to 4 weight steers bring 130 to $2. Heifers bring 118 to 148. 4 to 5 weight steers bring 115 to $2. Heifers bring 105 to 172. 5 to 6 weight steers bring $1 to $1.60. Heifers bring 98 to 131. 6 to 7 weight steers bring 95 to 131. Heifers bring 90 to 121. 7 to 8 weight steers bring 82 to 117. Heifers bring 78 to 117. 800 to 1,000 pound steers and bullions bring 78 to 105. And your heiferettes bring 70 to 92.
Now, what do we know for this week's sale?
We've got quite a few cattle lined up to come. This will be our last sale of the year. Looks like we'll have a pretty good run. Then, of course, we do have our special coming up, Mr. Larry, there on December the 29th. If anybody's interested in that, we will have a good selection of females and bulls.
And y'all have the running order and everything up on the website?
We don't have the running order. We do have the list, that the consignments are on,
right,
that have come in so far. I will tell you we'll have somewhere around 60 bulls, and it looks like we'll have somewhere between 900 and 1,000 females. Wide variety of cattle, but sure enough, good cattle.
Well, tell everybody how to contact you.
Yes, sir. Y'all can call me on my cell, which is 979-877-4454, or call us there at the office, which is 979-836-3621.
Since 1877, ranchers and landowners have looked to the Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association to protect the cattle industry interest. For more information about what cattle raisers can do for you, call 800-242-7820 or go to www.tscra.org at 800-242-7820, tscra.org.
Neighbor, we've got cattle in the alleyway today at Caldwell Livestock Commission Company. Let's go to Carl Herman. Carl, what was the sale looking like last night when we talked?
We're tagging on about 900 right now. I think we'll have 11, 12, 13 tomorrow. You got a couple of groups of cattle in here, like herd sellouts. There's 15 or 20 pairs in one. The rest of them are bred cows. And some are, 3 to 4 or 5 years old. So, if you need some cows for the first year, come see us. The calves look good. We've got some strings of calves, and they got the right condition to really do good and prosper for somebody. So, anyway, we look forward to a good sale.
Well, tell everybody what time you start and how to get a hold of you, Carl Herman.
Get started at 1 o'clock, and my number is 979-820-5349. Call the barn, 567-4119. Or if you're in the Giddings area, call Max Everett, 540-8676. Want to remind everybody this is our last sale of the year, so we'll be off for a couple of weeks.
We appreciate you, Carl. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Neighbor, they've been doing blanketing studies on horses at major universities ever since I can remember. I worked for the research farm at Texas Tech over all the holidays, mainly because my home was pretty close, and all the kids that were working there during the year would go back to their homes across the state or the nation during holidays, so I would take their place. It was a way to make some money, and I could finish feeding cows or doing dairy work or doing work there at the farm or in the hog operation and drive for 28 or 30 minutes and be with family on the holiday. One of the things I got to do was participate in one of those horse blanketing studies that studied light and blankets and light without blankets and blankets without light. We talk about blanketing horses research program on today's Texas Vet Report with Dr. Bob Judd.
With winter coming up, many people will start blanketing their horses. But blanketing can have other effects even on the amount of hay horses consume. Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Texas Vet News on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. I'm Dr. Bob Judd, and blanketing is very controversial, especially in Texas. As in most of Texas, our winters are not really that cold, and blanketing can have some unwanted side effects, such as skin disease or overheating in some horses. A recent study performed in Wisconsin by Dr. Michelle DeBeer found that blanketed horses ate 8% less free choice hay than non-blanketed horses, and yet maintained normal body condition. The horse publication reported that the researchers blanketed 8 adult horses in a dry outdoor paddock in Wisconsin from December to January, while they did not blanket 8 other horses in an adjacent paddock. Each group of horses had identical free choice hay, and the researchers found that the horses' weight and body condition remained the same, but the horses without blankets ate less than horses with blankets, and the difference was about 2 pounds of hay per day. So horses voluntarily reduce hay intake when blanketed, but this does not cause weight loss as the horses use less energy to keep warm and could even gain weight. Blankets can hide body condition, so you want to make sure the horse is not gaining or losing weight under the blanket. This study shows you could save a little money on hay, but would likely be offset by buying and maintaining a blanket. In general, in Texas, I believe a blanket is not needed unless on certain days the temperature is freezing or lower or we have freezing rain. Then when the weather warms up, get the blanket off and allow the horses to get acclimated to the outside temperature. Realize this study was performed in Wisconsin, and 8 of these horses lived all winter without blankets with no health issues.
You're looking for soybeans that give you the yield you want. But when it comes to fighting your toughest weeds, you also need flexibility. Introducing Extend Flex soybeans. Elite genetics with triple tolerance to dicamba, glyphosate, and glufosinate. The yield you want, the choice you need. Learn more at extendflexsoy.com. Always read and follow IRM where applicable, grain marketing, and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to find an insurance agent who's a true neighbor. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
I'm Dr. Bob Judd. This is the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, let's update those commodities as close to this time of day as we can get them. March corn, $4.28 and a quarter, up 3.5. March Kansas City hard red winter wheat down 1 at $5.65 even money. March beans, $11.95 and 3/4, up 7. Taking a look at cotton, March cotton, $75.67, up 8. February live cattle is up $17.50 at $113.05. March feeder cattle is down 30 at $140.60. February lean hogs down $155 at $64.85. The March U.S. dollar index down 199 at 90.21. And your January West Texas Intermediate crudes down 25 at 47.37. Neighbor, let's take a look at the grains courtesy of John Tuggle. Call 800-288-4453. Sorghum through Corpus in December, March plus 250, 1205. We'll call Progresso $11. Yellow corn through Corpus in December, March plus 40, 464 3/4. Calling Progresso $9. Hard red winter wheat through Corpus in December, March plus 70, 636. We'll call Houston March plus 95, 661. Houston beans, December, January delivery to Houston. January contract plus a dime, $11.94. We'll call Placido January less 60, $11.24. 21,512 bale of Texas cotton sold yesterday. Neighbor average price was $72.46. The East Texas, 4,673 at $70.84. West Texas, almost 18,000 bales at $74.09. That's it for Down on the Farm. For Grains and Cotton, I'm Larry Marble. Neighbor, go out and make it a grand Wednesday.